Welcome to the Road is Dead podcast. I'm your host, Rob Curtis, here in the studio with
Leah, Sanda.
And joining us remotely, we have
Tim Strelecki.
And this is episode 126.
Sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I don't know if anybody's keeping count. Except for us.
No one cares.
Probably not.
Hey, it did pop up in my feed on Facebook in my memories. When was that? A couple days ago? Where episode number 25 was 8 years ago or some shit, 7 years ago or something.
That's crazy.
We've been doing it for almost 10 years. So I think we started in 2016. So
10
but then again,
years
I don't
and
exactly.
126 episodes. That's
I do remember we were in the old shop.
Yeah,
that's not a lot. We went.
There's been big chunks of time where we didn't do anything.
I mean, 2020, I think we did 2 episodes the whole year or something.
Yeah.
Who was our first podcast guest? Do you remember, Rob?
Making up for lost
I don't.
time.
Why don't you guys talk amongst yourselves and let me check, see if I can come up with that data.
Well, let's put it this way: they're still alive.
Wow.
Yes,
I mean,
because
10 years ago.
I know who 2 of our early guests were.
No disrespect if you're number 1 and you're still listening. So thank you. I don't know who you are.
Give me a second. I'm looking at our really cool socks. We have new team socks.
Yeah, we have new team socks. Have you seen these?
Did you see
Tim?
these? You didn't see it because you're not on the chat.
No, nor will I be.
Well, you can. We have them available.
Well, you can look over Darcy's shoulder and.
Is she in the chat anymore?
No, she was.
I think she is, but she doesn't look at it.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to go answer that phone.
She's not going to scroll through, a year's worth of nonsensical banter and have 7,000 unread little messages.
Yeah. So,
now Rob showed me an iteration a week or 2 ago
of the socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of exciting because we haven't had a new sock design in 50,000 years or something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm kind of out of it today. I didn't really get a lot of sleep, and it's because my phone, for some reason,
he is.
Listen, so I have an iPhone. I have an iPhone. Okay, I'm in a group chat, and this group chat includes Leah, Anthony, Rich Smott, and then Kenny LeBay. Okay, and I have silenced this group chat because what usually happens in this group chat is that there's races on in the morning. People are watching them, and then they're texting in this group chat about the race that's going on. I don't know if you know this or not, but Kenny's one of those guys that either A, doesn't sleep, or B, wakes up at 3 a.m. For no reason. And then he watches the races, and then he instantly starts to talk, whether there's anybody there listening to it, reading the text or not. That's why I have it silenced. I've had it silenced for a long time. And it's fine. I'll go and I'll take a look at it, when I get a chance and try to catch up on it. It's not like I don't want to leave the chat. I do enjoy talking to these people, obviously. For some reason, my phone has started to play loose with it being silenced. Every now and then, all of a sudden, I'll start getting notifications from it. I started to notice it was whenever somebody would mention my name, it would break through the silence part of the notifications, and it would notify me. And I know that's a setting. So I went in and changed that setting. It's still, I think it's on this emergency setting where if people text a lot, quickly, it'll break through. I don't know what the hell's going on. All I know is that I keep checking and it is silenced. And every morning for the last week or so, I'm getting woken up at 4 a.m. or 4:30 in the morning by Kenny texting and Leah texting, because
And
they're
Anthony.
well, not usually Anthony. Anthony usually texts by the time he goes to work or very close to it. But you guys are ancient, so you've been up since the crack ass of dawn, and you think it's fun to talk to each other. I am not a morning person. Tim, you know this to be true. I am not a morning person. I am an evening person. Therefore, when I get woken up at 4 or 4:30, but I'm finally old enough that I have checked that, and it says the intelligent breakthrough on silencing.
Do you have that turned on or off?
I don't know. I'm going to have to check this. But the whole point of me bringing this up is you guys were talking about the races that have been going on and that you've been watching them. So I didn't watch any of it. You go on and tell me what pray tell were you guys discussing when you woke me up at 4:30?
So the UAE tour. I've been watching that. Tim, you've been watching it. Yeah. What? I don't know. It's been interesting. I wasn't even paying attention to or planning on watching it, and then all the text started coming through from Kenny on stage one, and then Anthony chimed in, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to turn it on. What's it on? It's on Max.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. Trying to get up to speed, figure out who's in the race. I mean, obviously Tade.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and I'm like, are we just watching just because we want to watch Tade race his bike?
Tade's probably operating at 50% capacity right now and smoking these dudes.
The thing that I have been absolutely loving so far is the intermediate sprint competition. In the two teams that I am going to mess up, Samudio and the other guy on the blue team.
Yeah, one of the continental teams. I forget. They got like 40 sponsors on their jersey.
Yeah. And I'm like, I keep having to it's like we're texting back and forth, and I'm like, wait, what's his name? How do I spell it? But anyway, just watching them attack and counterattack each other and play the tactics and stuff as they go off the front of the peloton, and they're like trying to get these sprint points for the intermediate competition. That has been entertaining as all get out. And then today, watching all the echelons form, it's just it's like it's watching a ballet. It's so beautiful, especially when you get to watch it from above and the helicopter view or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I was sitting on the trainer the other day, and I was doing a workout, and there's a lot of the background is professional racing, and it was an old like Giro stage, and I was sitting there thinking to myself in the middle of it, like it's so, and even watching the 2025 racing that is starting, it's so beautiful to watch dudes that really know what they're doing operating flawlessly in a large breakaway or in a small breakaway, or like you said, Leah, through echelons. Like when you get a group that's knows how to do it without even communicating with each other, and most of them do, not all of them do, but when you get that right mix, it's just a really beautiful thing to watch. And I think it was on my trainer session the other day, it was like a stage of the tour when Vanderpool was in yellow, and it was like Vanderpool, Wout, Cavendish, a bunch of like all the big name stars were in this massive break, and they were just rolling, and it just looked so pretty. I was like, oh my God, there's something beautiful about guys that, and girls for this matter, that look beautiful on a bike.
Yeah.
Like their fit is perfect, their form, their posture, they're flawlessly pedaling. It just looks effortless, and it's so enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not perfect. So as you see the echelon moving up the road, you can see the back tail of it just kind of like swooping back and forth as everybody's trying to surf that wind,
Yeah.
And it's such an organ. It's like an animal just kind of like swimming
like
down the
like an
road.
amoeba.
Yeah. It's super cool to watch.
I think it's funny when you look at them and you have like the first echelon with the leaders in it, and it's like pretty compact and tight, and it's flowing and it's going good. And then the third, fourth, and fifth like echelon, if there is, it's all the dudes that are hanging on, and that thing's just ragged all over the place. The guys are so tired.
Well, and there's the guys that are,
Yeah.
you got the echelon comes to the edge, and then there's that string of people that are playing the gutter ball, as we were discussing that in the chat this morning, that Rob slept through or tried to. And like Kenny was pointing out about how it is so much harder to ride back there in the gutter than it is to just be in the rotation of the echelon.
Yep.
And then just like tactically seeing who screwed up and wasn't in the right spot and anticipating the splits that were going to happen when the echelons formed, who was smart, who was in the right spot, and now they're in the front echelon. And I mean, it's just just a perfect example of tactical bike racing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get to zoom in on this handful of guys, Tarazzi, that's the other guy, Tarazzi and Smudio, that have been battling back and forth, and their teammates, attacking each other and trying to get up the road so they can take points away from this guy, because they were tied after stage one in intermediate sprint competition. So that's been fascinating to watch. I'm actually really enjoying that whole aspect of the UAE tour. So
there's a good lot, a lot of good racing on right now. You got Andalusia going on. You've got Algarve going on.
That
UAE
I watched the end of that today.
Good. Yeah, it was
Did
crazy.
you watch that stage today? Did you watch Pidcock? The Vuelta de
I saw him.
That sounds like you were really close on that pronunciation.
I've been watching. I have a tendency to watch wherever Wout's racing, so I'm watching Algarve.
Okay. Yeah.
It's him. It's Jonas. Roglic is in there. Like the Algarve's got a pretty stacked field.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously Tade's got to go to UAE because he's UAE.
Yeah. So Pidcock won his stage today.
Did he?
Yeah. He played it really nice. I tuned into it just to watch. There was a break of, it was like 5 or 6 of them. And it was a steep climb with a mountaintop finish. So that was it was fun to watch that.
It'll be nice to see what he can actually really do on the road this year, seeing as he's putting more focus on it. He didn't do a cross season, so obviously he's got better form this year at this time of the year than he did last year. No Grand Tours, so we'll see how that treats him, unless his team gets a wild card. But I don't know how much mountain biking he's going to do. But if he goes and does it, it's going to be a battle to watch. It's going to be awesome to watch him versus Van der Poel versus Nino Schurter.
Right. Yeah. Very true.
That'll be good.
So
that'll be good.
Nino.
But you don't know who Nino is?
No, I know. I know of Nino, but I don't really know him. But you're talking, he's doing mountain biking? Sorry, I was zoning out.
Nino only does mountain biking.
I understand, but you said something about Tade and Nino. So he's going to do mountain biking. Oh, okay. Never mind. Yep, you guys just keep ignoring me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Your face is buried in your phone, trying to figure out how to get your alarms to stop going off.
No,
here's one thing you can do: just turn your phone off and go to sleep.
There you go. Oh my God, what an idea!
It's
my
super
concern
easy
with
to do.
that is the number of relatives that I have that something bad can happen in the middle of the night that I would need to know about. So anyway, I did find out though, our first episode, for those of you that are waiting with bated breath,
was Baron.
No, it was Jason Hawley. And it was June 29th of 2016. I thought it was Jason, but I wanted to verify that.
Yeah, I guess I went through my podcast app, and I don't have
it doesn't go back all the way. I went through the podcast app, and it doesn't go back all the way. I had to go to the Libsyn listing. And the original cast was Anthony, myself, and Leah. And we had Jason Hawley on.
Okay.
And it was, I don't know how long it was, but anyway. Fun stuff.
There we go. So What else has everybody been up to? I that was kind of my thought, was that we could talk about today, is kind of like, hey, it's been a really, I'm just going to say it, an absolutely shit show of a winter in terms of riding because of the weather. Maybe some people love freezing their balls off on the bike. I'm so sick and tired of being cold all the time.
I traditionally don't have a problem getting cold. I don't want to say traditionally. It's something I picked up in the last few years. I've been able to actually ride in the cold weather. And I think we said it a couple episodes ago, but I think the game changer is really riding with poggies, bar mitts, whatever you want to call them. And since I started doing that, I have no problem riding in the cold for the most part. I say for the most part because it does get a little more complicated when there's a lot of ice. And we finally got some snow. The snow's out there on the trails that we would normally ride when they're groomed, and they've groomed them. I got out there one day this last weekend, right? Was that last weekend?
We did get out.
It was last weekend. Yeah. Saturday, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I did 2 hours with Molnar, and then we linked up with you. And
I did like an hour and a half.
Right. It was awesome because the snow was.
It was perfect.
It was so fun. It was so fun. So the whole time I was thinking, oh my God, Tim would love this. He would love this. He would be just.
And I sent him a text and said, hey, if you ever want to ride a fat bike, now is when you do it. And I've got one you can borrow.
Yeah.
And he said, nope, not interested.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go up there to rearrange your entire setup to ride it for a day or a few hours to give it back to you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna adjust your setup to do that. That's pointless.
Adjust the saddle and adjust the stem.
Dude, I told you this. I would adjust way more to your bike than you think I would do. Because our positions are nowhere near the same.
He's a princess.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
I'm not a princess. I just know what I like.
Tim, how is your winter going? What are you doing to keep safe?
I wasn't done talking about it yet.
Oh,
I was sitting there. So we rode one day.
Half an hour later.
We rode one day. I thought I would go out the next day, and for some reason I didn't. It was just so cold.
Yeah.
And then it's gotten to be single digits to negative temps for the rest of the week. And I have not been able to get myself to go out there and ride because I'd have to ride midday. And like I told you the last time I did that, when I ride midday in the cold like that, I can't get warm again.
Yeah.
I mean, I can sit here with like 3 jackets on, drink the hottest coffee I can make, and I'm just not going to get warm again. And I don't get warm again until like late that night. So I just, with it being this cold, because it's probably about 20 degrees colder than when I normally ride out there, the thought of going out and riding just hasn't done it. So I've jumped on the trainer a few times this week.
Nice.
Need to, because we have Frostbite 40 coming up this weekend, which is a gravel event, unofficial gravel event this weekend out in Pecatonica. For those not in this area, it's near where Ulysses S. Grant called home. Then we have the following weekend, we have Dirty South Roubaix. And Tim finally got into that. I got into that.
I can't believe it. I got the email that I'd been selected off the wait list, and I was like, what?
Nice. Everyone I talked to, not everyone, I talked to one other guy. The other guy that I talked to got notice today that he got in as well, too. So I'm thinking that they're running through a bunch of them, and a lot of people are dropping last minute.
Yeah.
So, and getting their refunds or whatever they want to do. So nice to see that there's people doing that. So, and that's how many more weekends? Oh, no, that's 2 weekends. That's the week. That's not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend.
Yeah, it's like a week and a half.
And then how long do we have until Barry?
That's mid-April.
Mid-April.
12th, I think.
Oh, okay.
April.
Yeah.
All right. I just feel like there's a bunch of shit all piling down at once. So
there's a lot coming up, but it depends on if you want to travel.
Yeah.
So was that a half an hour of me covering my quote unquote riding outside?
No. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt your story, Rob.
Carry on.
What you been up to, Tim?
I'm in the same boat. Like, the cold weather. I learned probably a year or so ago that I don't need to try to be macho and ride outside when it's inconducive to do so. I'm not trying to get pneumonia. I'm not trying to say, hey, check me out what I'm doing. I'm outside. I have no problem sitting on the trainer at all. So I've just been doing that. It's monotonous. It's boring as hell, but it's purposeful. And it sure shit, you know, beats, dodging ice and snow and putting myself at risk that way. I'll go out, if it's supposed to be 30s coming up soon. Like all this is going to melt. I think in the next week it's going to be 35, 40, 45 raining. So it's going to be a real slush fest. But I've just been
30s,
just been marinating on the trainer.
Kind of makes me feel like I should go out and ride the fat bike tomorrow just to get another ride on the snow in. But yeah, I mean, you're running system, Wahoo system.
I am, yes, yeah, I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, I get that, but for me, it works perfectly.
What do you do do you just do workouts when you're on there, or do you have a variety of things you go to?
Depending on what my how I'm structuring the block I'm in or the week of the block that I'm in. This week's been pretty simple. It's just been a recovery week, so that's nice. But it has all different types of workouts that hit all the different systems from, active recovery to long endurance rides. Like you could do a 6-hour endurance ride if you wanted to, which you can do on anything. But there's all sorts of, FTP workouts and, sub-threshold work and tempo work, and it hits all the zones. So depending on what I'm trying to do and structure, I can go in there and say I want to do this, and pops up.
What's the longest ride you've ever done indoors?
5.5 hours.
Recently?
5.5 hours. No, I did it back when I was on Zwift. I did like a 5.5 hour ride.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to get off the bike after that, because being on a trainer, you're constantly pedaling. You never stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you actually stop, take a stretch and get back on, which is actually probably the smart thing to do. But if you're silly like me and you just, I got to keep pedaling, and it's really hard to get off the bike after a while. And that's rough. I haven't done that since I did it once, and I was like, that's good. I'll wait till the weather is more consistent, freezing or above, to go log those long rides. But for now, I've just kind of been doing endurance with a mix of intensity.
For that, I don't know if you would be around for that. I don't think you were around for it time-wise, but do you remember the Spinnervals CDs?
Yes, I have a bunch in my basement
DVDs?
now.
I do remember Spinnervals.
Okay.
I never used them.
Anybody want some?
I still have a pile of them as well. I got the one that was an indoor century, I want to say.
Ugh.
And it was like a 5 or 6 hour ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will get myself to do that. I don't even know if I opened it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, you need a lot of stimulation visually when you're on a trainer for that long.
Well, and that's where for me, I could do those DVDs. I liked them. I actually got a lot out of them. Yeah. And it was because they're entertaining you, and it's like being in a class, So they've got a coach that's yelling at Coach Troy.
Yeah.
Is yelling at you and getting you to do stuff and getting it done. I got a lot of training done that way back then.
Yeah, I had Carmichael training system videos.
Right.
I had Spinnerville videos. I had Sufferfest.
That's a big portion of what the system is.
Right.
Sufferfest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got all sorts of things. They got the classic Sufferfest. They got what they call pro rides, where you do a workout based on like a stage of the Giro or a stage of, what's the Hammer series, where it's just full gas for an hour and you're just dying. They got all sorts of stuff. It's really rad. I like it because it's real-time footage, in the Peloton, stuff like that.
I think the longest ride I did once, just to prove that I could do it, was 4 hours. And I'm if I remember correctly, I got off the bike at least once, if not twice, and changed into a completely fresh dry kit. And I just had a big
That's clutch.
bowl of boiled potatoes that were covered with like salt and a little bit of butter, and I just eat potatoes and pedal the bike.
Now you're making me
And-
hungry. That sounds good.
And it was just like binge watching these shows that I was watching on
Yeah.
Apple at the time.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in ever doing that again. And I made it through. It was fine, but why?
It's tough. Like I had toyed with the notion, maybe even as early as last year that maybe I should try 12 hours just to see what it feels like. But then I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I really don't.
So, Rich Smott's kid Carter, who's in college right now, has decided that he wants to ride his bike a lot because he's not running.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole backstory.
He didn't make the team for the running or something like that.
They changed their funding, and he lost his spot on the cross country team.
Yeah.
So he last week he did like 100 miles on Zwift. Just like,
I think I remember Rich saying that the last time we were all together.
Oh
That's
my
crazy.
gosh. Yeah.
Good for him.
No.
That's great.
I don't think I have no interest in proving that I can do stupid stuff like that anymore. I'm done with that.
No, yeah. That's what I said to myself after I did that long one. I was like, yeah, I don't need to do that again.
Yeah. I have been struggling a lot more than usual this year with 2 years ago, I launched into a slightly different approach to training, I guess polarized. And I said, well, okay, if the ideal thing for me to do this time of year is long endurance zone 2 rides, then I'm not going to let the fact that I live in the Midwest get in the way. I'm just going to do it. And if I can't get outside, I'll do it inside. I'm going to plan ahead, look at the weather, and figure out, can I go ride my fat bike for 3 hours, or am I riding indoors? I just figured it out. And I had I think 12 to 14 hours a week was my goal. And I made it happen. It was fine. And I did it again last year. But last year we had really good weather throughout the winter, and I got outside a lot looking back on it. This year has been brutal because it's been so cold. In addition to that, I haven't been feeling as awesome as I have in the past years. So just sitting there and doing zone 2, and it just like mentally, I'm just like really couldn't get into it this year. Really couldn't. I even went my little Florida trip, and the weather was nice, and it was great to be down there riding. But still, I found myself bored. I'm just bored sitting on the bike riding zone 2. What is wrong with me? I love zone 2, I thought.
Yeah.
So when I came back, and I spent some time thinking about, like, what do I want to do? And one of the things that I really liked when I was in Florida was the last day, where my goal was to just push hard on every single hill. There was a bunch of rollers going up in Claremont, and it was nice to have a goal, and it felt good to push hard. And I thought, maybe that's what I'm missing. Maybe I need that more than anything. So we came back, I came back, and then a coach and I talked, and we decided to change some of my focus. So now I'm doing shorter, harder rides right now, because then in March I switched back over into going to Tucson and riding a bunch of base miles again. But I have this Dirty South race coming up. She's like, all right, it's time to just get some meat on the bones. So I'm happy again. I'm like, I can get on the bike for an hour and a half, and I can get some really good quality done, and then get off, and I feel good about it. I feel like I accomplished something. So I'm kind of in a better place mentally with that. But I am sick and tired of being cold, and I keep looking at the extended forecast that goes out 2 weeks. I'm like, what the heck? Why am I still just seeing 30s all the way into March? I mean, I thank God I'm going to Tucson on the 10th and just getting out of here.
30 will be fine.
I know 30s is probably going to feel.
It's going to feel warm.
I know,
but single digits. Like I don't need to.
I just don't want to be all bundled up. Even in that whole thing with me having some cold intolerance this year, I'm struggling with cold. Even in my basement on the trainer, I oftentimes have to dress warmer and or turn the fan off, and So I'm just, I just have to deal with it. It is what it is. So
Usually, like a trainer, when I ride the trainer, I have a small fan that's like at bar height, and I have a really like turbo fan that's on the floor that's pointed up at me. I wear a base layer, a jersey, a long sleeve, maybe a thermal, and a vest.
On the
Uh-huh.
trainer.
On the
really,
trainer. Yep.
why?
Is
I
it
get cold.
unheated in that area?
No, it's heated. I'm in my trainer room right now. I'm probably maybe 5 feet from a ceiling vent.
I have actually started trying to just like dress more warmly, but still
Mm-hmm.
have the fan on, because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have the fan on, I am just like an absolute river of sweat
Yeah.
rolling off of me. And it's in my eyes. It's all over my bike. It's
Yeah.
getting into my bearings. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, as long as it's not
It's
pee.
uh it's noticeably like 10 degrees colder in my basement from the main level or more, and then I have those fans blowing like directly on me, so I get, I sweat and it gets cold, and I just don't want to deal with that cold. Like if I'm doing, an hour and a half of intensity, then I'm not in all those layers. I peel some of them off, but as soon as I'm done, I'm putting them right back on. If
man.
I'm going to prolong it and do, added zone 2 on top of that. Yeah, I wear a lot of shit on the trainer. And like you, Rob, I'm still cold when I go
Yeah.
upstairs. I've usually put, you know, dry clothes on. I got a long sleeve, a sweatshirt. I've sometimes put my outdoor coat on and I just sit there. I've even opened like
Yeah.
hand warmers and put them in my pockets and just let them sit there all day, all the way till almost bedtime. It takes me that long to
Yeah.
warm up.
Yeah.
I got to tell you on the hand warmers bit, like I'll use the foot warmers when I go ride outside. If I
Yeah.
use them, I leave them on for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And even when I get home, I'm walking around socks.
Yep.
They're still stuck to the top of my socks, and
Yep.
got to have them for the rest of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
can't imagine what anybody in a normally warm area thinks of this podcast at this point. It's got to be completely worthless to them. But for
Well,
us, it's commiserating in the pain.
well, when you're on social media or whatever, or you see people in warmer climates that are generally warmer climates, and it's 50 and they're bundled up like we are when it's 30 or below, it's laughable, at
Do
least to
they
me.
do they like stop and like not go out on their rides because it's too cold when it's 50?
I don't
Probably.
know. I don't know.
If you're just think about it. I mean, you do temperature acclimate, right?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
you
that's a
totally
thing.
do.
So if you live in an area where it's warm all the time and
Yeah.
it's like 80 plus consistently, then all of a sudden you get a day that only gets up to 50, you're going to be freezing
Okay.
I mean,
because you're
ca
not used to that.
California cold is like 47 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, in the 50s for
Where
sure.
if we were to go out there now, I guarantee you I'd be in a summer kit.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean,
But
to your point though, I get cold and it creeps in, it stays there. But when it
mhm,
comes to riding the trainer, I will say that I'm more cold when I start riding than I used to be. But
mhm,
I'm still got enough body fat to where I just wear bibs. That's it.
yeah,
That's all I wear, and I just don't turn the fan on first thing.
yeah,
And I'll ride for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I
mhm,
jump off and I turn the fan on, and it goes on medium, and then it
yeah,
stays that way for the rest of the ride.
yeah.
I
I
couldn't even dream of wearing all that stuff. I would sweat so much.
I've worn Embro indoors on the trainer. That is a true story.
Wow. That's
Stupid,
impressive.
but I did it. No, I just like to be warm. Like I don't like cold air blowing
I'll
directly on me.
admit it.
Yeah.
You like the tingle. You like the
No,
burn in the shower.
no. Well, that I used to. I used to. And then I did, and then I quickly stopped liking it because
I
it
like the
gets too hot.
tingle. I like the tingle of chamois cream when you put it on. I believe it or not, when I've been riding at home,
Hmm.
we I have setups. I've said this before, but I have setups everywhere that I am, that I spend time, so that I have zero excuses for not riding. Not zero excuses. I have no barriers in the way if I make the
Hmm.
decision to ride.
Hmm.
That way I can be like you know what, I'm getting on the bike and just grab a pair of bibs, throw them on, and I am riding.
Yeah.
That's been true for a long time. Uh, So, but I haven't ridden at home. Even though I have a setup at home, I just don't ride it. The primary one, if I'm going to ride a trainer, I've been riding in the shop. Well, not anymore. I've been riding at home more often. But because of that, Julie, my wife, also rides, or used to ride a lot more on Zwift. And there was a lot of chamois cream down there, because I know a guy. And she did not tell me that she has used all of it, over the years. And
Good
so
for her.
I have like really old bibs that I got at home in a dresser. So I just grab that, run downstairs, jump on, no chamois cream anywhere. So I've been doing my rides, and I keep forgetting to grab a jar and take it home or whatever. So if you do not have a jar,
Right? Good one, Leah.
if you do not have a jar, go ahead and go out and grab some buttonhole chamois cream at your local retailer, local fine bike shop, wherever you normally pick up your stuff. They don't have it. Tell them to give us a call. So go out and buy some chamois cream. I need to take some home myself to make sure that I have some, because I got to say, trainer, out of all the times to wear chamois cream, for me, trainer is probably the one place to definitely wear it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're just all your weight's on that saddle. You're hardly ever getting up, and you're pedaling nonstop. So
I find that I get up quite a bit. I stand up quite
I've
a
been
bit.
getting up more. I'll give you that one. I've been getting up more.
Stand up quite a bit on the trainer.
I've been trying. So I'm trying to do something interesting, because I think I told you both at different times that when I do ride Zwift, I've been riding like the flat routes.
Yeah.
And I just don't pay attention to anything that's going on, and I watch a movie or I watch a whatever. That works for me. But recently I've been like, you know what, I want to do something on Zwift, and there's so many routes I haven't done. I've been going out and picking a lot more with climbing. So I've been trying to work more and more climbing into it. And I do find that I've been getting out of the saddle a lot to climb, and really kind of enjoying it, and spending a lot of time out of the saddle and trying to see how long I can stay out of the saddle climbing. It's a cool setup. I do actually like it. I think it's achieved what it wanted to in that game, at least for me. So I have never done Alpe d'Huez or whatever, Alpe d'Huez, whatever the hell they call it in there.
Go for that.
So it's I was thinking about it, but I'm guessing it's going to take me like an hour and a half to 2 hours, in that range, maybe an hour and a half. I don't really know. And finding that time, hour and a half's not bad. It's just finding the time to spend that time on it. When I usually get on, I'm riding for an hour. If I knew for a fact I would be done in an hour and a half, I would do it. But there's part of me that's like, well, what if it's 2 hours? What if, and I would hate to ride that much of it and have to jump off and call it a day and not complete it. So it's timing for me. I mean, is an hour and a half reasonable for me? You guys know me.
I
Now,
don't know.
Tim, you have no concept, because for you it's probably 45 minutes.
Around there.
Yeah. See,
I'm not familiar with the climb. I mean, I've probably done it. I don't pay any attention to how long it takes me to do any of these things.
I don't. Yeah. I think the common idea out on the internet is that most in shape cyclists can beat an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's factual.
I'll have to look it up here again.
I don't know. I can't even reference any of I'd have to go into my Training Peaks account to give you a definite on that, but I've definitely done it several times under an hour.
So
that's not easy.
Going back to events really quick, Tim, I meant to ask you, other than Dirty South, do you have anything else coming up in March that you're doing?
Let's see, March. Dirty South, I'm actually really excited about that. I've always wanted to do that one, and for some reason I never committed to it. And then all you guys were like, Dirty South, and then I was like, oh, damn it. And I went to do it, and I had to get on the wait list. So we all know how that turns out. I managed to get in. I'm super psyched about that. I'm super psyched that it's probably going to be almost 50 degrees there, so that'll be nice. Let's see, maybe do Melting Man, which is another one I've been putting off for years, in Michigan on 22nd of March, I think that one is. And then
Is that a gravel also?
Yeah, it's the first one in their they have a whole entire gravel series. Michigan does. It's like 18 races or something like that. It's fantastic. Um, so that's the first one in their series. It's under new it's been taken over by a different group of people now, so they've been really promoting it. And I've heard good things about it. I just never committed to doing it. So I'm interested in doing that one. I might skip Rough Road just because it's the week before Barry, and I'd rather do much better at Barry. But we'll see. We'll see. Rough Road, you can go there day of and sign up. It's
Right.
only an hour. It's only an hour away. And then after that, I'm actually interested in doing some of the Big River Gravel Series. Have you guys heard of that one?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about them.
It's like it used to be like 6 races. I think it's down to 4, but it's like Western Illinois, Davenportish area between all the events in the series. They're in that general area, 2.5 hours away at most, or maybe 3. They have a few coming up early in the year that I'm interested in. I'd always find that those are pretty good, and I've heard a lot of like good things about that, so I'm interested in doing some of that this year. I don't know what the summer's going to look like, and then cross season.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is you can kind of, I like holding things rather loosely in terms of my schedule. There are certain things I know I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I don't like to overcommit myself because I don't know as I go along if I get to a place where I'm going to be like, you know what, I need a little bit of a break. Maybe I'm not going to go do that race this weekend.
Yeah,
and I feel like if I told all my teammates and everybody that I'm going to be going and I make travel plans with people and stuff, then I'm locked in. And I'm like, okay. So, I'm locked in for Dirty South, and then I'm off to Tucson, and then I'm definitely in for Rough Road because they're doing an amazing
the women's team event?
the team competition, which is going to be super fun. And then Barry Roubaix, so that's boom boom. And then other than our little team camp in Peoria in early May,
looking forward to that.
I'm kind of like gonna figure it out as I go along. I mean, I'm tentatively planning on doing the 2-3 series at Toad.
Nice.
I will probably go back down to do the Iowa Memorial Day weekend races. Even though I get my ass handed to me, it's really just like 4 days straight of hill repeats, which is awesome.
Nice.
And it's always been good for me from a training standpoint. But I mean, that's all just kind of like loose. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it's much easier to navigate through a year and not burn yourself out if you don't make too many rock solid commitments, and you just kind of, oh, let me check. I've got interest in doing this. Let me see if there's still registration still open. Okay, it is. I'm feeling it. Let me go do it. Versus, trying to check off 25 races before August or more.
Yeah. Exactly. So
when you're going to end up doing at least maybe 20 cross races in a year.
Yeah.
There's a very condensed amount of time.
Exactly. Rob,
what
about
what are you going to do this year?
Oh, I don't know. I was just doing the calculations, and it turns out I think I can do Alp to Zwift in like just over an hour, in that range instead of an hour and a half. I should be able to easily beat an hour and a half. So
okay,
that's what I was doing was math.
Let's set a date for this challenge.
What, Alp to Zwift? Yeah, well, I can do it tomorrow morning. I don't know. Anyway, what am I going to do?
Dodge that one real quick.
Yeah. I am going to...
After Barry, what's the plan?
I don't know.
Is there anything, you made a comment about your one crit of the year?
Yeah.
Do you think you might do more?
tough to say. I don't want to say no, but I don't. To repeat what I always say, I don't have crit fitness. Even though I have more fitness than I've had in a long time, I still don't have crit fitness. That is almost as sharp as you can make the knife, in my opinion, in order to be able to have any kind of crit fitness. And that's for Cat 4. For Cat 4 men. And I say Cat 4 men because on the women's side, the way that I see the racing happen locally in our women's fields, you have more of a chance of hanging in if there's any disparity in your ability, if that makes sense. So it tends to be more tactical, more thinking about the riders, who's there. And I don't want to use the term negative racing but it's the not going hard for the sake of going hard. It's more being smart.
It's a lot more tactical, generally, yes.
So
it's a lot more on the gas and then off, and then everybody's kind of looking at each other and say, all right, who's going to launch
there's a
the
lot of
next
resting.
attack?
There's a lot
we've got
resting.
a plan and blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of on, off, on, off, on, off.
I do great in that scenario right now. My experience in all of the hundreds of Cat 4 races that I've done in my life, they are absolutely full gas from the start until you die. So, I mean, they're almost like a cross start. I mean, it is like full on sprint to get up there and get going. It doesn't have to be. The Masters races are a little bit better because everyone's like, oh, let's take a little bit of time, take a lap, to kind of get up to speed. But, all the young guys, when they hear that whistle, they're like drooling dogs and they just go and they tear it up. So with that in mind, I am not in a huge hurry to go and find some crits. If there is more opportunities to race like the one that at Cobb, where it was
a Cat 4 or 5
Masters. It was
Masters.
a Masters 4 or 5 men and women together.
That was so fun.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
If there was more opportunities like that, I would definitely race more, for sure. Maybe if I find an opportunity for something, I would love to say, oh, I'd like to do some road races. There aren't any road races. We know there's no road races. So the current version of that is a gravel race. So if there are more gravel events that I can find that I want to do, then I'll do them. I'm going to do Little Apple, of course. That's in August.
Hillbilly Hilly.
Oh, we're doing I'm doing Horrible Hilly 100 again for the first time in God knows how long.
Nice.
I don't know what possessed me to sign up for it this year. I haven't done it in a very long time also, and I just got the itch.
Well, we got the email. They sent out an email one morning, and it was to everybody who's ever done it before. You get to register early or some crap. I don't know how much of that was actually accurate, but I got the email. I saw the email, and for a split second, and I get emails from them, and I just don't ever pay attention to it because I just haven't done it in that long. For some reason, that morning, I kind of paid attention to it. And I was like, wow, I actually, I don't know. Maybe I should do that again sometime. And the people that did it this last year that I talked to, I was thinking to myself, you know what? That was fun when I was doing that. Maybe I should go and do it again. And then I got in here to the shop, and for some reason, Leah out of the blue goes, like, have you ever done the Horrible Hilly? Well, okay, so that's twice in the same morning that's come up. And she's like, they're offering, entry for people that, like, you can register now if you've done it before. And, I don't know, I'm thinking about doing it, and then that turned into, you know what, screw it. Let me just register and do it. So I do like that ride. Commitment. It's hard, of course, but
is that here, or is that Galena, or is that Wisconsin?
Blue Mountains, Wisconsin.
Oh,
it is probably the only time that I have cried on a bicycle.
I like the Blue Mountains.
I'll tell you, I the first time I did it, I well overestimated my abilities. So I'm always like, it's not that bad. I can climb anything. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. And when I was doing it, they had just come out with compact cranks, to give you an idea how long ago that was. So I had a compact crank. I don't know if I had a compact crank the first time I went, but I think I did. If not, I had a 5339, but I also had the huge cassette. that Shimano had introduced for 10 speed, which went up to 27 tooth. So I went up there. The best gearing I had would have been a 34-27. So I just remember you start down at the bottom of like Blue Mounds and Mounds Park Road, whatever the hell you want to call it. And you go out on the big road, you go around the park, and then you climb the climb. And this climb is kind of a very well-known climb. If you're from the Midwest, you probably know about the climb. It was used for collegiate national championships before for the road race. It's a course. That climb was going to be on the Olympic course if Chicago was going to get the 2016 Olympics. They were going to do the road race in Wisconsin at Blue Mounds. So it's a hell of a climb. If you've never done it before, I highly encourage you to go out there. It's not a quick climb. It is a very steady, very long climb. And I just remember I dropped the guys I was with like right at the beginning. It's this huge mass of humanity, I don't know, a couple thousand riders, maybe 1,500, 2,000 riders. And you're just in one swarm and you're climbing that thing. And it's just weird because everything gets like silent, and all you see is just bodies just, doing their out of the saddle rocking.
People walking.
And then, well, I didn't see anybody walking. And I got to this point, I was like, wow. And because I hadn't been up it the first time, and I was like, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And my friends then, caught me and then passed me. So then I'm sitting there kicking myself going, did I just blow myself up, at the very start of this for no reason? And then the thought started coming into my head, I may have to get out and walk on this. And I don't want to be that guy. And then I looked around and no one was walking. And I'm like, I'm definitely not going to be the first one to walk this. And so, I'm in my smallest gear. I'm trying hard. I am blowing out muscle, like I'm going to have problems with cramping by the end of the day for sure. And finally, I'm just to this point. I'm even doing a little, snaking back and forth a little bit to get up it. And you can't really do that because there's so many people and they were all passing me at the time. I finally, at the steepest little kick before you get up to the park, I put a foot down. And then I had to walk like that little steep section, and then I was back on the bike riding again. And then we get to it, and we take the left-hand turn, and then you just descend right back to where you started. And then you go out, and that's the start of the ride. And so the night before, I had signed up, I don't know, for the 100 or 200, whatever. And we were at I know it's going to come as a shock to everybody, but there's a drinking establishment in town by the name of the Grumpy Troll. And it's a brewery. And we were sitting there, and there's this photo that I used for like 15 years as my picture on every online thing. But I'm sitting there holding this like brandy looking glass and, giving you a sly smile and pointing at the camera.
That's where that picture was taken from.
That was taken that night. So we drove up there, went to the Grumpy Troll. I was a few beers in, and the guy I was with was like, well, what distance are you doing? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do the 200. It just means more time. I've got all day. I'll just do the 200 because they were doing the 200. And I was like, I'll just do the 200 with you guys, As we climbed that, and those guys had already just absolutely dropped me like a bad habit, it dawned on me, I'm not going to do the 200. And this was back when you didn't have the Garmins and everything. You had paper cue sheets. And I'm like, I am not going to do the 200. I will figure out a way to cut it, and I'll just do the 100. But that means I'm going to be done well in advance of those guys getting done. They're going to be out there twice as long is what I'm going to be out there for. And all of my stuff is in the car, and it's not my car, and they have the keys. And so I'm doing that math in my head, and I'm like, I have one chance, and that is to get to the first rest stop before they have left it. And so I pseudo raced my ass off to get to that first rest stop. When you get there, I remember it being just like 1,000 people roaming around and grabbing free hammer gels and all sorts of stuff. And I'm desperate to find these guys because I'm like, I am not going to sit there for like 4 hours waiting. And without getting a chance to change or anything. And I finally find them, and the two guys that were there to this day. Well, first of all, one was Aaron Hampton. You know Aaron Hampton, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was right after I had met him. We started riding together,
Yeah.
and he still laughs about that to this day. I walked up to them both, and it basically was the scene out of Usual Suspects where they're doing the lineup. Where I just walked up and I was just like, give me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker. Basically, like yelling at the top of my lip, I need your keys. You got to give me your keys, like right now. So they laughed about that for a good long time. But then I got it done. And then after that, pretty much all the climbing turns into the just regular climbing. You know, it's just same thing over and over again. After that, you know, Rogers Road is another one that's like 24% or something like that. And no, it's usually the steepest one out there. I've heard it's back on the route this year. I went back and I rode up there a lot. I did Horrible Hilly multiple times. There were years I did my own like 100-miler, which I believe is an actual distance that they have. It's 150K or whatever option. But, you know, I went out there, rode a lot over the years, and I even had another bike that I had as my climbing bike. And so that would be the lightest bike that I had, kind of. And it had a compact crank on it and it had my 27-tooth climbing gear, you know. So I would go up to Blue Mountains and ride that. And then the rest of the time was my crit bike. It'd be the 5339 with the 1125 or whatever, because I couldn't push the 23. So, you know, I used to enjoy doing that, and now I'm back at the shape enough to where I could do it. But I would get to the point where I loved knowing that you could get on a climb and you knew you were going to be there for a while. And you could settle in, get into your climbing mode, and just make it happen and just keep putting out the power. So I'm not a climber, but I enjoy doing that part of it. So I'm kind of looking forward to going back there. Sorry for the story. It was a little bit too long. Is that a half an hour?
It's tomorrow.
What? Oh, is it?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I have some pretty bad memories from that event. And I did it on my TT bike in the first few years, which, you know, looking back,
because you were a triathlete.
Yeah, well, I was using it for training. I was
Right
training.
up and climbing the aero bars.
No, I gotta get out of the saddle. You can get out of the saddle on a TT bike, but
That's one event where you see that shit nonstop.
I was training for Ironman Wisconsin, so I just the year of Ironman Wisconsin, I decided to sign up for the 200K, and a lot of things didn't go right for me that day, and I mostly finished the distance. I cut off a small chunk of it, and I'm not going to go into details because they're kind of gross, but I survived.
Why stop now?
No. I've since gone back and as a proper roadie and done it, and it's still hard. It's still really hard. So I don't know why I'm going back again.
Yeah, that climb is never easy. A couple of those climbs are never easy, and especially the Mounds Park road climb. Well, and the other thing too is if you haven't been up, have you been to Blue Mounds at all, Tim?
I've ridden that climb.
So you know when you come up to the top, but then you turn and you go into the park.
Yep.
And that's how you finish it. So you come up and then you make the turn, go into the park, and do the final climb because the parking's at the very top.
And that's where I cried.
And that last turn and going into the park, I remember just going. I felt like I could reach out and touch the pavement in front of me. You know, it was that kind of steep. I know it's double digit grades. I don't know how high it is. It's in the 20s, 18 to 20, I want to say, through that section. It's just brutal, and it's like getting punched in the face. I went back multiple times. I've climbed that climb a lot of times, and it has never with me been to the point where I'm like, oh, whatever, just settle in. And it is always like getting punched in the face.
Mhm.
So, and you do it
Yeah.
twice. You do it at the start of the day and you do it at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
No, not really.
Really? So why did we sign up for this again?
Well, because for me, I want to challenge myself and put myself back to where I used to be and just enjoy it. It was a ride that I did enjoy doing just for doing it, you know.
When you say like Horrible Hilly
Mhm.
100, is it 100 kilometers or 100
Yes.
miles?
The
Oh, it's
route that I
kilometers.
signed up for
It's
is 100
kilometers. Okay.
kilometers, but
Okay.
I would go out there and I would do 100 miles.
Nice.
They have a 150 kilometer option, I believe now, which
Yep.
it comes out to roughly 100 miles. So
Nice.
I don't know. I'm an engineer. I can't do math.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it'd be roughly 100.
Okay.
60
Yeah, about
something
there.
plus
I
30
understand.
something.
I know. I'm being
Okay.
cute. So,
Nice.
but they did not have that as an option back in the day, like I said. So what I would do is you would get to the last stop, and because you would have maps, you know, and you would have all the routes, and you'd take the two cue sheets, the 100 and the 200, and you'd look at them and see where they kind of crossed, and you'd be like, okay, well, if I go to this stop, and then I go out on that route, that'll add another 30 miles on.
Yeah.
So then I just complete my 100K because it comes back to the same stop. I'll complete my 100K. And then I'll be at 100 miles for the whole day. So I did that more than once.
You have fun with that. I will not be doing that.
Oh, I'm not going to do 100 miles. No,
Okay.
I signed up for the 100K. So I don't need to slap myself in the face again. And even if I go to the Grumpy Troll again, I am not going to be talked into doing the 200K.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So to long-winded answer to your question is, yeah, I'm going to try to do some longer rides, more base for me, developing some strength. If I do a crit, it's not with any kind of intention. It's just going to be to do some intensity. All in prep for, you know, I don't want to say my whole year is based around how I do in cross, because I know how it goes. You can get injured, you know, lots of things can happen. So I'm not going to be sorely disappointed if I'm not able to race cross. But if I had it my way and I was able to remain healthy for the whole year, everything I do from now on out is just getting me ready for cross season. So it is my sport. It is my discipline. It is what I like.
Nice. It's coming.
Fair enough.
I hear that. I've heard that.
That's what they say.
Yeah. It's always coming.
It's true.
Like your mom. Sorry.
I was waiting for that.
Sorry. Your mom actually listens to this, doesn't she? I apologize.
I don't know. I have no idea.
My mom does.
Oh, God. Now I feel really bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I should go sit in the corner. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm apparently can't.
Well, we're at an hour, so I feel like we have.
Oh, we are. Okay. Yeah, no, we're good. And I got my
Kind of
notice that my
dark.
Model A meeting is coming up here, so I'm going to have to chime into that one.
Oh, it's almost quitting time.
Yeah, well, I quit the moment I walked in. Anyway, so go ahead and go out and get some buttonhole chamois cream and help support local racing. I have some socks available. I don't know if I'm going to make that link available to people outside the team yet, but I don't know. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. Maybe I won't. Apart from that,
did you get white ones?
Oh God, I was going to put that in the original post. I always get bugged for white ones. You realize the minimum quantities needed to do that?
You told me that. I didn't know if you pulled the trigger.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of socks, and it's a lot of money. And it's one of those things where it's like I get bugged by like 3 people to get white socks. No one else is interested in getting white socks. So it's like, I'll do it, but we got to sell a lot of the other socks first, to pay for them. Because, why make money in this business when you can break even? So,
yeah,
break even is winning. So I don't know what I'm worried about. Anyway, so without anything else going on, thanks for joining us. We'll try to get her out again. Drop us a line at roadisdead@gmail.com. It has been silent there. So I challenge you to send an email to roadisdead@gmail.com and, say hey and give us a topic and make it interesting. Don't give us like, I'd like to have you guys discuss the difference between, I don't know, Mr. Tuffy and riding with tubeless or something. I don't know. Make it something interesting with tech or, the industry.
Yeah, if it's tech or industry based, Leah and I don't even need to be here.
Right.
You could do that all by yourself.
That stuff. I love it.
How about questions about training and just mindset, all these fun
I was
things.
going to
the things that Tim and I always geek out on when we chat.
We'll have this as an open thing for the next one, but I was going to ask you guys, give me your top supplement that you're taking now and why. We can leave it for the next one, but just stuff like that. Think about that, and we can get back to it.
We could talk about that.
All right. That's a good one. If I need to go take care of something while this is going on, I could same kind of thing. You guys can talk supplements. I'll
find a little piece of paper
tech.
and write it down so it's there for you. And then the next time we get ready to do this, we don't sit there and go, "What are we talking about?"
Wait, what'd you get a Strava notification for? Why do you get Strava notifications?
Oh, man.
Did somebody give you kudos?
A friend of mine completed a ride.
You get notifications if a friend completes a ride?
Yes. I have some friends on Strava that are special friends that are starred.
So you actually star them, and that's how you know? Oh.
You can do that?
I would not want that.
Yeah. I stalk some of my friends. I just want to see their rides.
Then again, I guess I would stalk my competition.
Because I don't like to sit there and scroll through Strava all the time. Every once in a while I do. But I like to see, I have people I like to see their rides.
Can I make a confession?
Go.
You like to doom scroll Strava?
No. Quite the opposite. I never scroll Strava. I, for the most part, couldn't give a shit what anybody else is riding. That sounds rude. I actually do care, and I do find it interesting. But I have to make myself go and scroll. And I find that I only really do it if I've gone on a ride with other people, and I want to give them kudos for their ride.
Yeah, I do that.
To be nice. And then that's...
Wait a minute.
That's
so
usually
you give someone kudos. Someone you're riding with, you give them kudos over the internet instead of just when you're riding with them being like, "Hey, dude, good
we
ride."
Do that too. I know we do.
Like
that's where
that seems counterproductive.
So it's kind of like, okay, why would I ever put anything out there on Strava? And I used to be against Strava. I actually do enjoy it now, but why would I put anything out there on Strava? I like to see how I've done compared to other times I've done the same route, and it's the best for doing that quickly. It'll tell me where I, ranked for the day, how I came in, that kind of stuff. That is interesting to me for some reason. To be able to see how others I rode with did compared to how they've been riding. So, I thought it was an okay ride. I got 0 accomplishments, and somebody I rode with may have gotten 12 from that ride. So I can be like, wow, it really does explain. You said you were hurting. I guess you really were. You had a great ride out there. So it gives me the ability to see that metric. And I'm not going to lie. When people give you the kudos, I do appreciate it. It does make you feel good, at least for a little.
Did I share that reel with you?
Yes, the kudos one. Yeah.
It was super cute.
I should put that on my story on Instagram.
Yeah, you should. It's super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody that a friend of mine said something to me the other day because they were like, I noticed that you haven't been riding much. And I'm like, I've been riding a ton. What are you talking about? And they're like, well, your Strava. I'm like, oh, you've been stalking me on Strava. Well, here's the thing. I've been riding my trainer and I do not post. I think I might have posted 1 or 2 of my Zwift rides on Strava. Everything else, it's like on Strava, but it's all just private. And I'm like, nobody wants to see a trainer ride. The feed right now is just full of Zwift rides. Yeah. And it's like,
it's boring. I don't kudos Zwift rides. I don't give a shit if anybody kudos mine.
I don't care about that. And I figure nobody cares about that for me. I don't know. I don't even bother posting it.
But I do understand the hypocrisy in that I don't feel like scrolling and giving out kudos. But the whole reason why I use it is because I do like getting kudos from others. So that gets to me every now and then, and I will take the time to go and
you
scroll.
like to be you're a
and start
receiver,
giving
not a
kudos.
giver.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
You got a dopamine
I'm
hit
trying.
from it.
Yeah,
That's
you do.
okay. I get it.
I'm trying to get better about that. So I do take the time every now and then to scroll and make sure that I do. If I see people that I haven't seen in a while and they're out riding, hey, cool. It's good to see that they're out riding. You know, I do enjoy that. So I'm not against scrolling. I just don't. It's not my desire to go and look at everybody's ride. You know, I have to get in the right frame of mind to do that to an extent. So that notification, you know me with notifications lately, especially with that goddamn text thread that we've got. Notifications are driving me absolutely bonkers. If I was getting a notification that somebody completed their ride and uploaded it to Strava, I would take my phone and throw it through a wall.
Well, I mean, okay, Anthony, I love you, Anthony, but I turned that off for Anthony's because he commutes. So I would get that notification twice a day, every single day. And it was just like, oh, okay, I don't. Yeah. So,
do you have it turned on for me?
Let's find out. Oh, let's find out. Let's see. I think I do. Robert Curtis. So you go to this and you go to favorites and then.
Wow. You have it turned on for me? So you notice whenever I do a
No, this says see their new activities at the top of your feed.
Oh, okay. Oh, you
I don't have. So okay. I can do that.
No, why would you want that?
It's because now you know. I'm going to be watching.
Oh, God. What's really going to creep me out is the second I get done, before I'm even loading the car, if I get a text from you, nice job.
It's going to happen.
Then I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm just turning my phone off. Just going to crunch it up.
Oh, more ways to annoy Rob. I love it.
It shouldn't annoy me, but it does for some reason. I'm trying to change that aspect of my life and eliminate some of that stuff. So,
all right.
I don't know. All right, we've taken long enough. Thanks for joining us. Anybody else have any words of parting wisdom? All right, so thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you here again soon, and enjoy the ride.
Adios.